Simone pressed her back against the hallway wall, her hand covering her mouth to silence the gasp threatening to escape. Through the crack in her father's study door, she could hear two voices she knew better than any others in the world, and they were plotting against her. She got nothing, Beth. I'm telling you, the old man left everything to charity. Simone walked out of that lawyer's office empty-handed. That was Julian, her husband of 5 years. Her chest tightened at the satisfaction in his voice. Are you absolutely certain? Beverly's sharp tone cut through the air. Simone's stepmother sounded almost gleeful. Because if that ungrateful girl got anything, she's hiding it. Robert always was soft on her. I'm positive. I saw her face when she came home that day. She looked devastated. Trust me, we're in the clear. Simone's legs trembled. 3 days. It had been 3 days since they'd buried her father, and these two were already celebrating what they thought was her financial ruin. Her grief twisted into something darker, something that tasted like rage and betrayal mixed together. Good, Beverly continued. Then she'll have to sell this house. The market value alone is $4 million. When she does, we'll be right there to pick up the pieces. You'll comfort your poor, broke wife, and I'll swoop in as the concerned stepmother. Between us, we can convince her to make smart choices that benefit us. Julian laughed, and the sound made Simone's stomach turn. She trusts me completely. Always has. This is going to be easier than we thought. Simone backed away from the door silently, her heart pounding so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. She made it to the bathroom down the hall before her knees gave out. Sitting on the closed toilet lid, she let the truth wash over her like ice water. Her husband and stepmother were working together. How long had this been going on? How long had she been blind? The funeral flashed through her mind. 3 days ago, St. Augustine's Church had been packed with people who claimed to love Robert Harrison. The organ had played hymns that made everyone cry. Beverly had worn black Prada and dabbed at dry eyes with a lace handkerchief. Julian had held Simone's hand through the entire service, whispering that everything would be okay. Was all of it? After the funeral, the lawyer, Mr. Patterson, had asked to speak with Simone privately. They'd gone to a small office in the church basement while everyone else went to the reception. Your father left specific instructions, Mr. Patterson had said, pulling out a sealed envelope with her name on it. I'm to give you this in private. No one else knows about it. Not your stepmother, not anyone. Simone had opened the envelope with shaking hands, still numb from watching her father's casket being lowered into the ground. Inside was a letter in her father's careful handwriting and several legal documents. My dearest Simone, the letter began. If you're reading this, I'm gone and I need you to be strong. Stronger than you've ever been. I've left you $25 million in a private trust. Beverly doesn't know about it. The house, the cars, the obvious assets, those go to her as stated in my public will. But this money, this is for you, protected in secret. Simone had stopped breathing as she read on. I know what she is now. I've known for the past year. She married me for money, nothing more. I saw the paperwork she'd hidden, research on how to break prenuptial agreements, consultation fees for 3 different lawyers. I changed everything to protect you. I also need to warn you about Julian. I've had him investigated. Simone, I'm so sorry, but he's not the man you think he is. The reports are in this envelope. Please look at them. Protect yourself. Don't tell Beverly about the money. Don't tell Julian. Trust no one until you're sure of their intentions. The papers had fallen from Simone's hands. Mr. Patterson had picked them up gently, his old eyes full of sympathy. Your father made me promise to tell you one more thing, he'd said. He said to remember that you're his daughter and you have his strength. He said you'll know what to do when the time comes. Simone had walked out of that office feeling like the world had shifted beneath her feet. At the reception, she'd played her part perfectly, the grieving daughter, overwhelmed and lost. She'd let Julian guide her through the crowd. She'd accepted Beverly's cold embrace and hollow condolences. And now, 3 days later, listening to them plot in her dead father's study, she understood why her father had warned her. He'd known. Somehow, he'd known exactly what would happen. Simone stood up and looked at herself in the bathroom mirror. Her eyes were red from crying, but there was something new there too. Something hard and determined. Her father had given her the tools to protect herself. He'd given her the truth and the means to act on it. She thought about the trust documents locked in a safe deposit box that Beverly and Julian didn't know existed. She thought about the investigation reports on Julian that she hadn't had the courage to read yet. She thought about her father's final words, "You'll know what to do when the time comes." The time had come. Simone washed her face and straightened her black dress. Then she walked back downstairs, her footsteps quiet on the carpet. She could hear Beverly and Julian still talking in the study, their voices low and conspiratorial. She didn't interrupt them. Instead, she went to the kitchen and made herself a cup of tea, her hands steady despite the storm raging inside her. She sat at the kitchen table, the same table where her father used to have breakfast every morning, and began to plan. Julian found her there 20 minutes later. "Hey honey," he said, his voice dripping with false concern. "I didn't know you were home. Beverly stopped by to check on you. We were just talking about your dad." Simone looked up at him and smiled, the expression not reaching her eyes. "That's sweet of her. And you? I don't know what I'd do without you both." Julian crossed the room and kissed the top of her head. Simone forced herself not to flinch. "You'll never have to find out," he said. "I'm here for you always." "I know," Simone replied softly. "I know exactly where you are." He didn't catch the double meaning. He never did. Beverly appeared in the doorway, her perfectly styled hair not a strand out of place despite her grief. "Simone, dear, how are you holding up?" "I'm managing," Simone said. "It's hard knowing that Dad left everything to charity. I always thought, well, it doesn't matter what I thought." She watched Beverly's face carefully. There it was, a flash of triumph quickly masked by sympathy. "Your father was always passionate about his causes," Beverly said smoothly. "We have to respect his wishes." "Of course," Simone agreed. "That's exactly what I intend to do. Respect his wishes." After they left together, she noticed Julian claiming he'd walk Beverly to her car. Simone pulled out her phone. She had the number for the private investigator Mr. Patterson had recommended. Her father had been one step ahead as always. It was time for Simone to be 2 steps ahead. She dialed the number, and when a professional voice answered, she said clearly, "I need to know everything. And I need proof." 2 weeks before the funeral, Simone had sat beside her father's hospital bed, holding his thin hand while machines beeped rhythmically in the background. Robert Harrison had always been a strong man, broad-shouldered and confident, but cancer had whittled him down to angles and shadows. Still, his eyes remained sharp and focused. "Simone, baby girl, I need you to listen carefully," he'd said, his voice weak but urgent. "What I'm about to tell you is going to hurt, but I need you to hear it from me." "Dad, you should rest," Simone had protested, adjusting his pillows. "We can talk later." "There might not be a later." Robert had squeezed her hand with surprising strength. "And this can't wait. I've made arrangements. Legal arrangements. But you need to understand why." Simone had felt the first flutter of anxiety in her stomach. "What kind of arrangements?" "Beverly doesn't love me. She never did." The words had come out flat, factual. "I was a fool, Simone. After your mother died, I was lonely and Beverly was there. Beautiful, attentive, interested in everything I had to say. I thought I'd found someone to share my life with. But I was wrong. Dad. Let me finish." He'd coughed, and Simone had helped him sip water through a straw. "About a year ago, I couldn't find some financial documents I needed. I went into Beverly's desk to see if she'd filed them there. Instead, I found consultation agreements with 3 divorce attorneys, all dated within the past 6 months of our marriage." Simone had felt cold despite the warm hospital room. "What?" She was researching how to break our prenuptial agreement. How to claim she'd been coerced into signing it. How to prove she deserved half of everything I owned, even though we'd only been married 2 years at that point. Robert's laugh had been bitter. "I hired a private investigator. Did a full background check, something I should have done before I married her." He'd pulled out a folder from beneath his blanket, one he'd clearly been hiding. "Her real name is Beverly Ann Foster. Before me she was married twice. Both times to wealthy men over 60. Both times she tried to contest prenuptial agreements after their deaths. Both times she lost because the court saw through her manipulation. She's a professional, Simone. She targets wealthy widowers and tries to take them for everything they have." Simone had taken the folder with numb fingers, flipping through pages of documentation. Bank statements showing Beverly's debts before the marriage. Court records from 2 previous lawsuits. Photographs of Beverly meeting with lawyers, dated and time-stamped. "I confronted her," Robert had continued. "Not directly, I'm not stupid. I let her think she'd fooled me. But I changed everything. My will, my trusts, everything. The public will gives her exactly what the prenup stipulates, $50,000 and the right to live in the house for 6 months after my death. After that, the house goes to charity." "But that's fair?" Robert had interrupted. "It's more than fair for someone who married me under false pretenses. But you, my darling daughter, you get the real inheritance. $25 million in a private trust. Completely separate from the estate. Beverly will never know about it unless you tell her. Simone had stared at her father, trying to process everything. Why are you telling me this now? Why not just let the lawyer handle it after? Because there's more. Robert had looked away, and Simone had seen tears in his eyes. Simone, I'm so sorry. I had Julian investigated too. The world had tilted. What? He came to me 6 months ago asking for a loan. Said he wanted to invest in a business opportunity. I said no, not because I didn't want to help but because something felt off. The way he asked, the pressure in his voice. So I looked into it. Robert had pulled out another folder, this one thicker. He's been having an affair, Simone? For 8 months now. A woman named Amber Peterson who works in his office. The investigator has photographs, hotel receipts, everything. I'm so sorry, baby girl. I wanted to tell you right away but you seemed so happy and I was sick and I thought maybe I was wrong. But I'm not wrong. Simone had felt like she was drowning. No, Julian loves me. We've been together 7 years, married for 5. He wouldn't? Look at the evidence, Robert had said gently. I wouldn't tell you this if I wasn't certain. And there's something else. The loan he wanted? It was to pay off gambling debts. Julian's been hiding a serious problem from you. He owes money to some dangerous people. The folder had fallen open in Simone's lap. There they were, photographs of Julian with a blonde woman, kissing outside a hotel, holding hands at a restaurant, getting into a car together. Each image was dated, showing a progression over months. I don't understand, Simone had whispered. Why would he do this? I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe the gambling changed him. Maybe he was always this person and he hid it well. But I know this, you deserve better. You deserve truth and loyalty and real love. So I'm giving you the means to start over. Robert had pulled out a business card for Mr. Patterson, his personal attorney. When I'm gone, he'll give you everything. The trust documents, the investigation reports, access to the accounts. But Simone, you have to promise me something. Anything. Don't tell Beverly about the money. Don't tell Julian. Play it close until you're ready to act. Beverly will try to manipulate you, to make you feel guilty or obligated to help her. Julian will try to keep you close because he thinks you have nothing, and he probably has plans to use you somehow. But you have power now. Use it wisely. Simone had been crying then, tears streaming down her face. I don't want power. I want my dad. I want my marriage to be real. I want everything to go back to normal. I know, baby girl. But normal was an illusion. This is the truth, and truth is what you need to move forward. Robert had cupped her face with one weak hand. You're my daughter. You have my strength, my intelligence, my ability to see what needs to be done and do it. Don't let them break you. Don't let them win. What do I do? You'll know when the time comes. Trust yourself. Trust what I've given you. And remember that I love you more than anything in this world. Everything I've done to protect you. They'd sat together for a long time after that, not talking, just being present. Simone had memorized her father's face, the feel of his hand in hers, the sound of his breathing. 2 weeks later he was gone. At the funeral, Beverly had played the devastated widow perfectly. She'd worn black designer clothes and expensive jewelry Robert had bought her, jewelry that now seemed like a mockery. She'd cried and accepted condolences and talked about what a wonderful man Robert had been. Julian had been equally convincing, supporting Simone through the service, speaking kindly to guests, acting like the devoted husband. But Simone couldn't stop seeing the photographs. Julian kissing that woman. Julian laughing with her. Julian building a whole separate life. During the reception, Beverly had cornered Simone in the hallway. I'm sure your father left you well provided for, she'd said, her voice saccharine. Even though we didn't always see eye to eye, Robert loved you very much. Actually, Simone had said carefully, everything went to charity. Dad's wishes. Beverly's expression had flickered, surprise, then calculation, then false sympathy. Oh, you poor thing. Well, don't worry. We're family. I'll make sure you're taken care of. It was the first test, and Beverly had failed it immediately. There was no genuine concern in her voice, only opportunity. Simone had played along, acting confused and hurt, letting Beverly think she was vulnerable. That night, Julian had tried to comfort her in bed. It's going to be okay, he'd said. We'll figure this out together. You have me. Simone had lain awake long after he'd fallen asleep, listening to him breathe, wondering how she'd missed the signs. How had she not noticed the late nights? The secretive phone calls? The distance that had grown between them? Or maybe she had noticed and she'd just chosen to believe his excuses. Maybe she'd been too trusting, too willing to see the best in people. But her father had taught her one final lesson: trust but verify. And when verification shows betrayal, act accordingly. Now, sitting in the kitchen 3 days after the funeral, Simone pulled out the business card for the private investigator. Jackson Moore, it read. Discreet investigations. She dialed the number and a deep voice answered on the second ring. More investigations. Mr. Moore, my name is Simone Harrison. Robert Harrison's daughter. I believe you worked for my father. Ms. Harrison, I'm so sorry for your loss. Your father was a good man. Thank you. I need your help. My father gave me some information, but I need more. Recent information. And I need it to be thorough enough to hold up in court. What exactly are we investigating? Simone looked at the doorway where Julian and Beverly had stood an hour ago, plotting against her. Everything. I need to know everything. The house felt different now. Every room held memories that Simone could no longer trust. The kitchen, where she and Julian had cooked together on Sunday mornings. The living room, where they'd watched movies curled up on the couch. The bedroom they'd shared for 5 years, where he'd whispered promises he never intended to keep. It had been a week since the funeral. Beverly had returned to her own home, a luxury condo Robert had purchased for her in the city, but she called every day, always asking the same questions in different ways. Had Simone gone through her father's papers? Were there any accounts Simone might have missed? Had the lawyer mentioned anything else? Simone played her role perfectly. I don't know, she'd say, voice small and uncertain. I'm so overwhelmed. I can barely think straight. Of course, dear, Beverly would coo. Take your time. But do let me know if you find anything important. After all, I was his wife. I have a right to know about his affairs. The audacity of that statement made Simone's blood boil. Beverly had been Robert's wife for barely 3 years, and she'd spent that time planning how to rob him. But Simone kept her voice sweet and agreeable. Of course, Beverly. I'll let you know. Julian's behavior had changed too, though he tried to hide it. He'd become more attentive in some ways, bringing her coffee in the morning, asking about her day, suggesting they go out to dinner. But his phone was always face down on tables now. He took calls in other rooms. And he was showering more often, sometimes right when he got home from work. Simone recognized the signs now that she was looking for them. She hated herself for not seeing them before. One evening, she was loading the dishwasher when Julian's phone buzzed on the counter. He was upstairs and the notification flashed across the locked screen. Can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same place? Oh, just the letter A. But Simone knew. Amber. The woman in the photographs. The woman her husband had been seeing for 8 months while coming home to Simone every night. Her hands shook as she closed the dishwasher. Part of her wanted to confront him right then, to throw the phone at him and demand answers. But her father's voice echoed in her head. Don't let them know what you know until you're ready to act. She wasn't ready. Not yet. Jackson Moore was still gathering evidence. The divorce lawyer Mr. Patterson had recommended was still reviewing her options. And Simone was still trying to understand the full scope of Julian's betrayal. 2 days later, Julian announced he had to work late. Big project deadline, he explained, kissing her forehead. Don't wait up. Okay, Simone said. I'll probably just watch TV and go to bed early anyway. The moment his car pulled out of the driveway, she called Jackson Moore. He's on the move. I've got him, Jackson replied. I'll send you updates. Simone tried to distract herself with housework, but her mind wouldn't settle. She kept imagining Julian with that woman. What did they talk about? Did he tell Amber he loved her? Did he complain about Simone, painting her as the obstacle to his happiness? Her phone buzzed at 7:47 p.m. A message from Jackson, the Riverside Hotel. Room 412. They arrived separately but within 5 minutes of each other. Do you want photos? Simone sat down heavily on the couch. She'd known intellectually that the affair was real, but having it confirmed in real time felt like a punch to the stomach. She typed back, yes. Everything. I need everything. For the next 3 hours, Simone sat in her empty house, waiting. The TV played shows she didn't watch. Her tea went cold in the cup. She thought about all the nights Julian had claimed to be working late. All the business trips that maybe weren't business at all. All the times he'd been distant or distracted, and she'd blamed herself for not being interesting enough, sexy enough, fun enough. It hadn't been her fault. It had never been her fault. Julian came home at 11:30, smelling like hotel soap. Hey babe, you still up? Couldn't sleep, Simone said, keeping her voice neutral. "How was work?" "Exhausting. I'm beat." He headed straight for the shower, of course he did, and Simone heard the water running for a long time. When he finally came to bed, he kissed her goodnight like everything was normal. Like he hadn't spent the evening with another woman. Like their entire marriage wasn't built on lies. Simone waited until his breathing evened out into sleep. Then she got up quietly and went to the guest room, where she opened her laptop. Jackson's report was waiting in her encrypted email. The photos were clear and damning. Julian and Amber entering the hotel. Amber in a tight dress and high heels. Julian's hand on the small of her back. More photos from previous encounters Jackson had documented. Receipts for expensive dinners. Credit card statements showing purchases Simone had never seen: jewelry, flowers, weekend trips. Julian had been spending their money Simone had contributed to their joint account from her job as a graphic designer, on another woman. While Simone had been cutting coupons and trying to save for their future, Julian had been buying Amber expensive gifts. The betrayal went deeper than the affair itself. It was financial. It was emotional. It was a complete dismantling of everything Simone had believed about her life. She kept reading. Jackson had included background information on Amber Peterson. 28 years old, 5 years younger than Simone. Started working at Julian's company 10 months ago. No previous relationship with Julian according to social media. It had all happened fast. There was also information about Julian's gambling problem. Her father had mentioned it, but seeing the details was shocking. Julian owed $47,000 to various creditors and bookies. He'd been betting on sports, playing poker at illegal games, even trying his luck at offshore online casinos. The loan he'd asked Robert for hadn't been for a business investment. It had been to pay off debts. And when Robert had said no, Julian had gotten desperate. A horrible thought occurred to Simone. Was Julian with her because he loved her, or because her father was wealthy? Had he been counting on an inheritance to solve his financial problems? She scrolled through more documents. There was a text message exchange Jackson had somehow obtained, probably from phone records. Julian to an unknown number: "The old man finally died. Just have to wait a bit, be supportive, then we're golden. Simone's going to inherit millions." Unknown number back. And then? Julian, and then I convince her to invest in some opportunities. Skim off the top. Pay off my debts. Start fresh. She trusts me completely. It'll be easy. Simone's vision blurred with tears. This wasn't just infidelity. This was a con. Julian had been planning to use her, to steal from her, to manipulate her grief and trust for his own gain. Except there was no inheritance. Not one he knew about, anyway. The $25 million was safe in a trust Julian couldn't touch. He tied himself to Simone for nothing. A bitter laugh escaped her. Her father had been right about everything. Robert had seen through both Beverly and Julian, and he'd protected Simone from them both. She missed him so much it physically hurt, but she was grateful beyond words for his foresight. The next morning, Beverly called again. "Simone dear, I've been thinking. You must be struggling financially without your father's support. Why don't you sell the house? It's far too big for just you and Julian anyway. I know some excellent real estate agents who could get you top dollar." "That's thoughtful," Simone said carefully, "but I'm not ready to sell. This is my father's house. I have 6 months before I have to make any decisions." 6 months? Beverly's voice sharpened before she caught herself. "I mean, that's wonderful, dear. I'm just concerned about you managing all the expenses on your own. Property taxes, maintenance, utilities, it all adds up." "Julian and I are managing fine," Simone lied. In truth, she'd already moved her personal money into separate accounts Julian couldn't access. She was prepared to support herself completely. But Beverly didn't need to know that. "Well, if you need anything at all, you know where to find me." Beverly's tone had gone cold. She'd clearly expected Simone to be more desperate by now, more willing to accept help, and with it, control. After hanging up, Simone made a list. She'd always been organized, a trait her father had encouraged. Now that organization would serve her well. Things to do. Meet with divorce lawyer, appointment scheduled for Friday. Secure all personal assets. Document everything Julian does. Continue gathering evidence. Decide on the right moment to act. The timing had to be perfect. She couldn't move too soon or Julian might destroy evidence. She couldn't wait too long, or he might do something desperate when he realized she had no money coming. She needed to be strategic, careful, and absolutely certain. Her father had trained her for this without either of them knowing it. All those chess games where he taught her to think 3 moves ahead. All those business discussions where he'd explained contracts and negotiations. All those life lessons about trusting actions over words. Robert Harrison had raised his daughter to be strong, smart, and capable of protecting herself. Now it was time to prove him right. That evening, Julian came home with flowers. "For you," he said, presenting them with a smile. "I know things have been hard lately. I just want you to know I'm here for you." Simone took the flowers and arranged them in a vase, playing the grateful wife. Inside, she wondered if he'd bought Amber flowers too. If these were just another manipulation, another move in whatever game he thought he was playing. "Thank you," she said softly. "That's really sweet." Julian hugged her from behind while she worked, his chin resting on her shoulder. "I love you, Simone. We're going to get through this together. Your dad's gone, but you still have me." "I know," Simone replied, staring at their reflection in the kitchen window. Two people who looked like a couple but were actually strangers. "I know exactly what I have." Friday afternoon, Simone sat in the law office of Diane Richardson, one of the best divorce attorneys in the city. The office was modern and professional, with glass walls and abstract art that probably cost more than most people's cars. Diane herself was a woman in her 50s with sharp eyes and an even sharper reputation. "Let me be clear," Diane said, spreading Jackson Moore's investigation report across her desk. "This is an excellent case for divorce. Infidelity, financial deception, and proof of intent to defraud. With this evidence, we can ensure you keep all your separate property and potentially argue for compensation for emotional distress." "I don't want his money," Simone said. "He doesn't have any anyway. He's drowning in debt. But you do want to protect your assets. Every single one." Diane nodded approvingly. "Smart. Now about the timing. I recommend we file within the next 2 weeks. The longer you wait, the more opportunity he has to hide assets or create complications." "I need one more thing first," Simone said. "I need to see it. See them. I know it's happening, I've seen the photos, but I need to see it with my own eyes. Does that make sense?" Diane leaned back in her chair. "It does. Many clients feel that way. The evidence is one thing, but witnessing the betrayal directly provides a different kind of closure. Just be careful. Don't confront them in the moment. Don't do anything that could be used against you later." "I won't. I just need to see." That evening, Simone told Julian she was going to visit her college friend Brittany for the weekend. "I need to get out of this house," she said. "Clear my head. Brittany's been asking me to visit, and I think it would be good for me." Julian looked relieved. "That's a great idea, babe. You need some girl time. I'll miss you, but you should definitely go. You'll be okay on your own?" "Of course. I've got some work to catch up on anyway." He kissed her forehead, and Simone had to force herself not to pull away. "Have fun. Text me when you get there." She packed a small bag and left that evening, but she didn't drive to Brittany's house 3 hours away. Instead, she checked into a hotel downtown, the same chain as the Riverside where Julian met Amber, but a different location. Then she called Jackson Moore. "He'll make his move tonight," she told him. "His wife is supposedly out of town. He'll want to take advantage." "I'll be watching," Jackson confirmed. "Are you sure you want to do this?" "I'm sure." The call came at 8:15 p.m. He just left his house, driving toward the city center. "Should I follow?" "Yes. Keep me updated." Simone sat in her hotel room, still dressed, waiting. Her heart pounded with a mixture of anxiety and something else, something darker. She wanted to catch him. She wanted to see his face when he realized she knew. She wanted justice. At 8:47 p.m., he's at Marelli's, that upscale Italian place on 5th Street. Just went inside. Simone knew Marelli's. Julian had taken her there for their second anniversary. He'd said it was special. Apparently, it was special enough to take his mistress too. At 8:53 p.m., she just arrived. Blonde woman, late 20s, red dress. They're being seated now. Simone grabbed her purse and keys. "Send me the address." "I'm coming." "Miss Harrison, I don't think." "Send me the address." 20 minutes later, Simone stood across the street from Marelli's, partially hidden by a parked van. She could see into the restaurant through the large front windows. There was Julian, handsome in a dark suit she'd helped him pick out last month. And there was Amber. The woman was beautiful in an obvious sort of way, long blonde hair, perfect makeup, curves accentuated by a tight red dress. She looked young and carefree, laughing at something Julian was saying. There was no guilt in her expression, no shame. Just happiness. Simone watched them toast with wine glasses. Watched Julian reach across the table to hold Amber's hand. Watched him lean in to kiss her, right there in public where anyone could see. He wasn't even trying to hide it anymore. The logical part of Simone's brain had accepted the affair. The photos were proof enough. But seeing it in person, seeing her husband look at another woman with desire and affection, seeing him touch her the way he used to touch Simone, that broke something inside her. She thought about all the times Julian had complained about working late. All the times he'd been too tired for date nights with Simone. All the times he'd said they needed to save money, be practical, not go out so much. And here he was at $100 a plate restaurant with his mistress. The betrayal wasn't just emotional. It was insulting. Julian had made Simone feel like she was asking for too much when she wanted attention. Like she was being unreasonable when she missed spending time together. Meanwhile, he'd been giving everything, his time, his attention, their money, to someone else. Jackson appeared beside her, his voice quiet. "I've got video. Multiple angles. Do you want to go in? Confront them?" Simone was tempted. God, she was tempted. She wanted to walk into that restaurant and flip their table. She wanted to throw wine in Julian's face and tell Amber exactly what kind of man she was celebrating. She wanted to make a scene that everyone would remember. But that's not what her father would have wanted. Robert had taught her to be strategic, not reactive. To think ahead, not just about the immediate satisfaction of revenge, but about the long-term victory. "No," Simone said, her voice steady despite the tears on her cheeks. "Let them enjoy their dinner. Let them think they're getting away with it. It'll make the fall so much harder." She turned and walked back to her car, Jackson following at a respectful distance. Behind her, through the restaurant window, Julian laughed at something Amber said. He looked happy, relaxed, like he didn't have a care in the world. Back at the hotel, Simone sat on the bed and finally let herself cry. Not delicate tears, but deep, wrenching sobs that came from somewhere primal. She cried for the marriage she thought she had. For the man she thought Julian was. For the future they'd planned that would never happen. For every moment she doubted herself instead of trusting her instincts. When the tears finally stopped, she felt empty but clear. This was real. There was no more room for denial or hope. Julian had made his choice and Amber had made hers. Now Simone would make hers. She pulled out her phone and started going through old photos. There she was on their wedding day, beaming in her white dress, believing Julian's vows. There they were on vacation in Mexico, his arm around her shoulders. There were 100 moments of a life that had been a lie. Simone deleted them all. Every single photo of Julian. It took 20 minutes, but when she was done, her photo library was clean. He was erased. Then she opened her email and drafted a message to Diane Richardson. "I'm ready. File the papers. Let's end this." She didn't send it yet. Not until she was home and had secured everything she needed to secure. But knowing it was written, knowing the process was about to start, gave her a sense of power she hadn't felt in weeks. Her phone buzzed. A text from Julian. "Hey babe, hope you made it to Brittany's okay. Missing you already. Love you." Simone stared at the message. The casual lies, the easy affection, the complete lack of remorse. He was probably still at the restaurant with Amber, probably had excused himself to the bathroom to send this text so his girlfriend wouldn't get suspicious. She typed back, "Just got here. Long drive. Going to bed soon. Love you too." The lies came easily now. Maybe she'd learned from the best. Saturday morning, Simone drove home. Julian's car was in the driveway, which meant he'd probably come back late last night after his date. She wondered if he'd showered again before getting into their bed, washing away evidence of where he'd been. He was in the kitchen making coffee when she walked in and he looked surprised. "Babe, you're back early. I thought you were staying the whole weekend." Brittany had to cancel, Simone lied smoothly. "Family emergency. So I decided to just come home. Is that okay?" "Of course. I'm glad you're here." Julian hugged her and Simone let him, feeling nothing. "I was just going to run some errands. Want to come with?" "No, I'm tired from the drive. I think I'll just relax here." "Okay. I'll be back in a few hours." The moment he left, Simone went through the house methodically. She was looking for anything else she'd missed, any other evidence of Julian's double life. In his car, which she accessed with a spare key, she found a receipt from Marelli's dated yesterday. Dinner for $247. She photographed it and put it back exactly where she'd found it. In his closet, she found a new suit she'd never seen him wear, expensive designer label. Another photograph. In his nightstand drawer, hidden under some old electronics, she found a burner phone. Simone's hands shook as she turned it on. The messages were all there. Hundreds of texts between Julian and Amber, going back 8 months like her father's investigator had said. They were explicit, intimate, planning future trips together. One message from 3 weeks ago made her stomach turn. Once I get access to Simone's inheritance, we can finally be together properly. Just have to play the supportive husband a bit longer. Amber had responded, I hate waiting. But I love you. We'll have everything we want soon. Julian had replied, I love you too. You're my real future. Simone's just necessary for now. Simone took photos of everything before turning the phone off and replacing it exactly as she'd found it. Her hands weren't shaking anymore. She felt cold, focused, absolutely clear. Julian hadn't just betrayed her. He'd been planning to use her, to steal from her, to keep her around only as long as she served his purposes. She'd been a meal ticket, nothing more. But Julian had made one crucial mistake. He'd underestimated her. He'd assumed she was naive, trusting, easy to manipulate. He'd thought her grief made her vulnerable and her love made her blind. He was about to learn how wrong he was. Simone went to her laptop and opened the email to Diane Richardson. She added all the new photos, including screenshots from the burner phone messages. Then she wrote, File on Monday morning. I want him served at work. Make it public. She hit send before she could second-guess herself. It was done. The wheels were in motion. In 3 days, Julian's world would come crashing down. That evening, Julian returned home with takeout from her favorite Thai restaurant. Thought we could have a nice dinner together, he said. I know you've been stressed. They ate at the dining room table, Julian talking about his week while Simone listened and nodded. She studied his face, the smile that had once made her heart race, the eyes she'd looked into on their wedding day, the hands that had held hers through good times and bad. This stranger sitting across from her. This man who'd shared her bed for 5 years while planning to betray her. This person she'd built her life around without ever really knowing him at all. You're quiet tonight, Julian observed. Everything okay? Simone smiled, and this time it almost felt genuine. Because she had a secret now too. She had power he didn't know about, plans he couldn't anticipate, resources he'd never see coming. Everything's perfect, she said. Absolutely perfect. Sunday afternoon, Beverly showed up unannounced. Simone heard the doorbell and opened it to find her stepmother standing there in designer jeans and a cashmere sweater, looking perfectly put together and utterly fake. Simone, darling, I was in the neighborhood and thought I'd pop by. Is this a bad time? Beverly didn't wait for an answer before stepping inside. Julian's running errands, Simone said, following Beverly into the living room. It's just me. Actually, that's perfect. I wanted to talk to you privately. Beverly sat on the couch and patted the cushion beside her. Woman to woman. Simone sat, keeping her expression open and innocent. What's on your mind? Beverly took a deep breath as if gathering courage. I know this is difficult to hear, but I think your father may have hidden some assets. I've been going through my own finances and there are some irregularities. Money that should have been in our joint accounts but isn't. Really? Simone widened her eyes. What kind of money? That's the thing, I don't know exactly. But Robert was very wealthy, and the will only accounts for a fraction of what I know he had. There must be other accounts, maybe offshore investments or private trusts. And as his widow, I have a legal right to know about them. I haven't seen anything like that, Simone said truthfully. The lawyer only gave me information about the house and some small accounts that went to charity. Beverly's lips thinned. The lawyer. Mr. Patterson, right? I never trusted him. He was always so secretive, so protective of Robert's business. I think he's hiding something. What would he be hiding? Money that should be mine. Beverly's voice rose before she caught herself. I mean money that should be going to Robert's family. You and me. We shouldn't be left with nothing while charities get millions. Simone let the silence stretch, watching Beverly struggle to maintain her composure. This was the real Beverly, the one her father had discovered. Greedy, entitled, angry beneath the surface. I think we should contest the will, Beverly continued. Together. We could hire lawyers, demand a full accounting of the estate. They can't refuse if we both insist. But Dad's wishes. Your father's wishes were manipulated. Beverly stood up, pacing now. He was sick, medicated, not in his right mind. That lawyer probably influenced him, convinced him to give everything away. It's not right, Simone. Your father would want you taken care of. He'd want me taken care of. Did he, though? The question slipped out before Simone could stop it. Beverly froze. What's that supposed to mean? Simone backpedaled carefully. I just mean Dad was very clear about his philanthropy. He always said he wanted his money to make a difference in the world. Maybe this was what he really wanted. You can't be that naive. Beverly's mask was fully slipping now. Wake up, Simone. Your father left you nothing. Nothing. What are you going to do? Rely on Julian's salary forever? You're 33 years old with no inheritance and no prospects. Don't you want more than that? Julian takes care of me. Beverly laughed, and it wasn't a nice sound. Julian. Right. Well, I suppose that's something. The way she said it made Simone's instincts flare. What does that mean? Nothing. Forget it. Beverly sat back down, visibly trying to regain control. Look, I'm just worried about you. About us. We're family, and family needs to stick together. Especially when other people are trying to take advantage. Who's taking advantage? The lawyers, the charities, everyone who convinced Robert to cut us out. They don't care about you or your future. But I do. I was married to your father for 3 years. I knew him intimately. And I know he wouldn't have wanted his only daughter to struggle. Simone felt the surge of anger. Beverly hadn't known Robert at all. She'd seen a wealthy man, a target, nothing more. Every word out of her mouth was a calculation, an attempt to manipulate. Can I think about it? Simone asked. The idea of contesting the will feels wrong, but I understand what you're saying. Give me some time? Beverly's smile was triumphant. Of course, dear. Take all the time you need. But not too long. There are statutes of limitations on these things. The sooner we act, the better our chances. After Beverly left, Simone sat alone in the quiet house. She pulled out her phone and turned on the recording app she'd activated when Beverly had started talking about the will. Every word was there, saved and backed up to the cloud. Beverly demanding her rights to money she'd never earned. Beverly insulting Robert's mental state to justify her greed. Beverly trying to manipulate Simone into helping her steal from charities that actually needed the money. It was perfect evidence of Beverly's character, and it might come in handy. Monday morning arrived with surprising speed. Simone had barely slept, knowing what was about to happen. At 10 a.m., Diane Richardson's paralegal would walk into Julian's office building and serve him with divorce papers. It would be public, professional, and absolutely humiliating. Simone had taken the day off from her freelance graphic design work. She sat in a coffee shop downtown, far from home, with her phone on silent. Jackson Moore had positioned himself near Julian's office building to document the reaction. At 10:07 a.m., a text from Jackson, papers served. He looked shocked. Very shocked. Simone stared at her phone. It was done. After weeks of pretending, after days of gathering evidence, after years of being lied to, it was finally done. She didn't feel triumphant yet. Just tired. But underneath the exhaustion was something solid and unbreakable. She'd taken the first step. Her phone started ringing at 10:15. Julian. She let it go to voicemail. He called again immediately. Again. She counted 14 calls before they finally stopped. Then the text messages started. Simone, what the hell? We need to talk right now. This is insane, you can't just serve me at work. Call me back immediately. I don't understand what's happening. Are you seriously doing this? Everyone saw, Simone. Everyone. How could you embarrass me like this? That last message made her laugh bitterly. He was worried about embarrassment. Not about losing her, not about saving their marriage, not about the affair he'd been hiding. Just his reputation. One more text came through. Whatever you think I did, we can talk about it. Please just call me. Simone typed back one sentence. You know exactly what you did. Then she blocked his number. At 11:30 a.m., Beverly called. Simone debated not answering, but curiosity won. Hello. Simone, Julian just called me. He's devastated. He says you filed for divorce without any warning. What's going on? That's between Julian and me. But I don't understand. You two seemed fine. Are you sure you're thinking clearly? You're still grieving your father. Maybe you're not in the right headspace to make big decisions. I'm thinking more clearly than I have in years, actually. Beverly's tone sharpened. This seems rash. You're going to be alone, Simone? Divorced with no money, no family support. I have plenty of support. Just not from people who've been lying to me. Silence on the other end. Then Beverly's voice, cold and calculating. What exactly are you implying? I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. Julian cheated on me. For 8 months. I have proof, photos, videos, hotel receipts, text messages. He was planning to use me for money he thought I'd inherit from Dad. Money that doesn't exist as far as he knows. I don't believe you. Julian wouldn't. He would, and he did. And honestly, Beverly, I don't care if you believe me or not. I'm done playing games. Games? Simone, I'm trying to help you. You're making a terrible mistake. Without Julian, without me, you'll have nothing. I have everything I need. Simone's voice was steel now. What I don't need are people who pretend to care while planning to use me. People who married my father for his money and are angry they didn't get more. People who've been working with my husband behind my back. Beverly's sharp intake of breath told Simone she'd hit the mark. I have no idea what you're talking about. Don't you? I heard you and Julian talking in Dad's study. 3 days after the funeral. You were celebrating that I got nothing, planning how to manipulate me. Did you think I wouldn't find out? Did you think I was that stupid? You're confused. Grief can make people imagine. I'm not imagining anything. I heard every word. And I recorded our conversation yesterday, Beverly. All of it. You demanding I help you contest Dad's will. You insulting his mental state. You showing your true colors. The silence on the other end was satisfying. Then Beverly's voice came back, different now. Harder. You're making a mistake, Simone. You think you're so smart, but you're just a foolish little girl playing games she doesn't understand. Maybe. Or maybe I'm my father's daughter and I learned from the best. Either way, you need to stop calling me. Stop coming to my house. Stop trying to manipulate me. It won't work anymore. You'll regret this. When you're alone and broke and realize you threw away everyone who cared about you. Cared about me? Simone laughed. You never cared about me. You cared about Dad's money. And Julian never cared about me either. He cared about what he thought I could give him. But I'm not giving either of you anything except the truth. You failed. Dad saw through you and so do I. Beverly's voice dropped to something ugly. Your father was a paranoid old man who died alone in a hospital. And you're going to end up just like him, alone, bitter, pushing away everyone who tries to help. If by help you mean steal from, then yes, I'm absolutely pushing those people away. Goodbye, Beverly. If you contact me again, my lawyer will be handling all communication. Simone hung up before Beverly could respond. Her hands were shaking, but it felt good. Like lancing a wound and letting the poison out. She sat in the coffee shop for another hour, processing everything. The two people who were supposed to be closest to her, her husband and her stepmother, had both betrayed her. They'd plotted together, planned together, celebrated what they thought was her misfortune. But they'd both made the same critical mistake. They'd underestimated her. They'd thought she was weak, trusting, easy to control. They'd thought her grief made her vulnerable. They thought wrong. Simone's phone buzzed with an email from Diane Richardson. Papers served successfully. Waiting for his response. In the meantime, suggest you stay somewhere else for a few days. He may show up at the house. Good advice. Simone paid for her coffee and drove to a hotel, a different one from before, using cash to check in. She wasn't hiding exactly. She just wanted to control when and where she dealt with Julian's inevitable meltdown. That evening, Jackson Moore sent her a video. Julian leaving his office building, tie loosened, hair disheveled, looking furious. He'd gone straight to his car and driven where? Jackson had followed him to Amber's apartment. So that's where Julian went when his world fell apart. Not to their home to fight for their marriage. Not to a friend for advice. But to his mistress, looking for comfort from the woman he'd chosen over his wife. Simone watched the video 3 times, memorizing every detail. This was who Julian really was. When crisis hit, he ran to Amber. That told her everything she needed to know about where his loyalties truly lay. She drafted an email to Diane, add abandonment to the filing. He went straight to his mistress's apartment after being served. Jackson has video proof. Then Simone ordered room service, took a long bath and went to bed early. Tomorrow she'd start planning the next phase. Tonight she just needed to rest. For the first time in weeks, she slept soundly. 3 days later, Simone sat in Diane Richardson's conference room with a spread of documents that told the complete story of Julian's betrayal. Jackson Moore sat beside her, professional and thorough, walking them through his findings. The affair began exactly 8 months and 12 days ago, Jackson said, pointing to a timeline he'd created. First contact was at an office happy hour. They exchanged numbers that night. First date was 3 days later. By the end of the first month, they were meeting twice a week. Diane flipped through the photographs. These are excellent. Clear dates, public locations, obvious intimacy. He won't be able to claim it was just a friendship. There's more, Jackson continued. I pulled his credit card records, the ones he thought Simone didn't know about. He opened a separate card 6 months ago. Exclusively used for expenses related to Amber. Hotels, dinners, gifts. Total spending, approximately $32,000. Simone's stomach dropped. 32,000? All in 6 months. He was paying for everything: expensive restaurants, weekend trips to beach resorts, jewelry. I have receipts for a diamond bracelet that cost $4,000 alone. Where was he getting that kind of money? Simone asked. His salary isn't that high, and I know he has gambling debts. Jackson exchanged a look with Diane. That's where it gets interesting. I found evidence that he'd been skimming from his employer. Small amounts, cleverly hidden in expense reports and project budgets. Not enough to trigger an immediate audit, but over time it adds up. I estimate he's stolen about $50,000 from his company over the past year. He's been embezzling? Simone felt sick. Technically, yes. I've compiled the evidence, but whether you want to report it is your decision. It would certainly hurt him professionally, but it might also complicate your divorce proceedings. Diane tapped her pen against her notepad. Let's hold that as a backup. Right now, we have more than enough for a clean divorce with Simone keeping all her separate property. The question is whether you want to go further. What does further mean? Simone asked. We could pursue compensation for emotional distress. We could file complaints with his professional licensing board. We could make his infidelity and financial crimes public beyond just the divorce filing. You have the power to really make him suffer, Simone. The question is how far you want to take it. Simone thought about her father's words. You'll know what to do when the time comes. What did she want? Revenge, yes. But what kind? I want him exposed, she said slowly. I want everyone to know who he really is. But I don't want it to look like I'm being vindictive. I want the truth to speak for itself. Smart, Diane approved. Character matters in these things. If you come across as the wounded but dignified party, people will be more sympathetic. Jackson pulled out another folder. There's also the matter of his gambling problem. I tracked down 3 of his regular poker games. One of them is run by some people with criminal connections. Julian owes them specifically about $22,000. They've been patient so far, but that patience won't last forever. How patient? Simone asked. They gave him until the end of this month to pay up. That's 2 weeks away. If he doesn't pay, things could get ugly for him. Simone felt a cold satisfaction. Julian had been counting on her inheritance to solve all his problems, his debts, his affair, his crimes. Now he had none of that. Just consequences. Let him deal with it on his own, she said. I'm not his safety net anymore. There's one more thing, Jackson said carefully. I did some investigating on Amber Peterson, the mistress. She's not what she appears to be. What do you mean? Her real name is Amber Williams. She changed it 3 years ago after a scandal at her previous job. She was fired for having an affair with her married boss and then blackmailing him for hush money. She threatened to tell his wife unless he paid her $50,000. He paid, but he also reported her. She avoided criminal charges by returning the money, but she lost her job and reputation. So she has a pattern of targeting married men, Diane said. Exactly. I found evidence that she specifically targeted Julian. She researched him before applying to his company. She knew he was married, knew about his financial situation through public records, knew his wife's father was wealthy. This wasn't a random affair. It was calculated. Simone absorbed this information. Amber wasn't just the other woman. There is one complication, Jackson said. Julian's been trying to reach you. He's called from different numbers since you blocked him. He's also driven by the house multiple times. My surveillance shows he's getting desperate. Desperate people do dangerous things, Diane warned. I recommend you stay at the hotel a while longer. Don't go home alone. If you must go to the house, take someone with you. I'm not afraid of Julian, Simone said. He's a coward. He won't do anything violent. Maybe not. But he might try to manipulate you, guilt you, make you doubt yourself. Stay strong. Don't engage with him directly. Everything goes through lawyers now. Over the next week, Simone settled into a routine. Mornings at the hotel, working on her graphic design projects. Afternoons meeting with Diane or Jackson to review evidence. Evenings spent planning her next steps. Julian's response to the divorce filing was predictable. Deny everything, claim Simone was mentally unstable due to grief, argue that the marriage could be saved with counseling. His lawyer had filed a counterpetition asking for reconciliation and joint counseling sessions. Diane had laughed when she read it. He's grasping at straws. No judge will force you into counseling when you have proof of infidelity and fraud. This is just a delay tactic. How long will the divorce take? With your evidence? We can push for an expedited hearing. Maybe 3 months total. He has no grounds to fight and he knows it. This is all posturing. Meanwhile, Jackson's surveillance revealed the fallout in Julian's life. His company had launched an internal investigation into the financial irregularities Jackson had found. Julian had been placed on unpaid leave pending the results. Amber, true to predictions, had stopped seeing Julian once she realized there was no money coming. Jackson had photographs of them arguing outside her apartment, Amber shoving papers at Julian, probably bills he'd promised to pay, before slamming the door in his face. And Beverly had gone silent, which worried Simone more than her anger had. A quiet Beverly was applauding Beverly. "Keep an eye on her," Simone told Jackson. "I don't trust her silence." "Already on it. She's been meeting with lawyers too, still trying to find a way to contest your father's will. So far, no one will take her case. The prenup is ironclad, and there's no evidence of undue influence or mental incapacity." 2 weeks after serving the papers, Simone returned to her father's house for the first time. She brought Jackson with her just in case. The house felt different now, not like home but like a neutral space full of memories that belonged to someone else. She went to her father's study and sat in his chair. On the desk was a framed photo of the two of them from 5 years ago, before everything had gone wrong. Robert had his arm around Simone's shoulders, both of them grinning at the camera. They looked happy. They'd been happy. "I'm doing it, Dad," Simone said quietly to the empty room. "I'm protecting myself like you taught me. I'm being strong. I just wish you were here to see it." Of course there was no answer. But Simone felt something settle inside her, a sense of rightness, of being on the correct path. Her father had given her the tools. Now she was using them. She packed more clothes and personal items, things she'd need for the extended hotel stay. As she was loading boxes into her car, a vehicle pulled up to the curb. Beverly's silver Mercedes. Simone's first instinct was to get in her car and leave, but Jackson appeared beside her. "Want me to handle this?" "No. I've got it." Beverly got out of her car and for the first time she looked her age. The makeup couldn't fully hide the stress lines and her clothes, while still expensive, weren't as perfectly coordinated as usual. "Simone, we need to talk." "We don't actually. Everything goes through lawyers now. Please." Beverly's voice cracked. "I made mistakes. I know that. But we're still family. Your father would want us to support each other. My father warned me about you. He knew exactly who you were." Beverly's face flushed. "That's not fair. I loved Robert. You loved his money. There's a difference." "Fine. Yes, I married him for security. Is that so wrong? I'd been through 2 divorces, I was struggling financially, and he was kind to me. I thought we could make it work. I thought I could learn to love him. But you didn't." "No," Beverly admitted. "I didn't. But I tried, Simone. I stayed with him through his illness. I was there. You were there planning how to break your prenup. Don't pretend this was noble." Beverly's shoulders slumped. "What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't the stepmother you deserved. I'm sorry I was thinking about money when I should have been thinking about your father. I'm sorry for working with Julian. That was wrong." "Why were you working with him?" "Because he approached me. 3 months ago he came to me saying he knew you were going to inherit millions. He wanted to make sure we both got a share. He said we could help each other, make sure we were both taken care of." I was stupid and angry and I agreed. Simone felt a cold clarity. Julian had orchestrated everything. He'd approached Beverly, fed her anger, created a conspiracy. He'd been playing both sides. What exactly did he want you to do? Convince you to contest the will. Make you feel guilty for accepting everything while I got nothing. Create a legal fight that would tie up the estate for years. During that time, he planned to manage your finances, slowly siphon money away to cover his debts, and eventually divorce you once he'd taken enough. The pure audacity of it took Simone's breath away. Julian had been planning the ultimate betrayal, not just cheating, but a systematic robbery disguised as marriage. And you went along with this. I didn't know about the cheating or his debts. I just thought we were going to pressure you legally. When I found out about Amber, I told him to stop. But by then you'd already heard us in the study. And you didn't tell me. Would you have believed me? You were so in love with him. You would have thought I was lying to break you up." Beverly had a point, Simone realized. If Beverly had come to her before the funeral, before Simone knew the truth, she would have defended Julian. She would have thought Beverly was manipulating her. "None of this changes anything," Simone said. "You still tried to use me. You still spoke badly about my father. You still plotted against me. I know. And I have to live with that. Beverly looked old and tired. I just wanted you to know I'm sorry. For what it's worth. It's worth very little. But I'll accept it as a closing statement. Goodbye, Beverly. Don't contact me again. Beverly nodded slowly and got back in her car. Simone watched her drive away, feeling nothing except exhaustion. That was intense, Jackson said. Do you believe her? About Julian orchestrating everything? Yes. About being sorry? Maybe. But it doesn't matter. She made her choices. Now she lives with them. Simone finished loading her car and took one last look at the house. Soon she'd have to decide whether to keep it or sell it. But not today. Today she just wanted to move forward. Diane Richardson's office had become familiar territory over the past few weeks. Simone sat in a comfortable chair across from Diane's desk, sipping coffee and reviewing the final divorce petition. This is comprehensive, Diane said with satisfaction. We have documentation of the affair, the financial fraud, the conspiracy with your stepmother, and his gambling debts. Julian's lawyer has nothing to counter with. At this point, he's just hoping for a settlement that doesn't completely destroy his reputation. What kind of settlement is he proposing? He wants the divorce to be filed as irreconcilable differences rather than adultery. He wants all evidence of the affair sealed. And he wants you to agree not to pursue criminal charges for the embezzlement. In exchange for what? He'll agree to a quick divorce, no alimony, no claim to your assets. Basically, he walks away with nothing but his freedom and his secrets. Simone considered this. Part of her wanted Julian's crimes exposed publicly. But another part just wanted to be free, to move on, to stop thinking about him entirely. What do you recommend? She asked Diane. Legally, you have the power to push for full disclosure. Every detail could become public record. But practically, that might prolong the process and keep you tied to this situation longer. If your goal is to move forward with your life, a quick, quiet divorce might be better. And if my goal is to make sure he faces consequences? Then we proceed with the current filing. Adultery, fraud, conspiracy. It all goes on record. His employer will see it. Future employers will see it. Anyone who searches his name will see it. He'll carry this reputation forever. Simone thought about her father. Robert had been a man who valued justice, but also practicality. He'd warned her about Julian and Beverly, but he'd also advised her to protect herself first and foremost. I want the truth on record, she decided. But I don't want to drag this out. Can we do both? Yes. We refuse his settlement offer. We proceed with the current filing. But we don't oppose his request for an expedited hearing. We get the facts on record quickly, then you're free. How quickly? The hearing is scheduled for 6 weeks from now. Given the evidence, it should be straightforward. Judge reviews the documents, hears brief testimony if needed, grants the divorce. You could be legally single in 2 months. 2 months. It seemed both impossibly long and surprisingly short. Simone had been with Julian for 7 years. 2 more months would end it all. Let's do it, she said. After the meeting, Simone had another appointment, this one with her father's estate attorney, Mr. Patterson. She needed to make decisions about the house and discuss the trust. Mr. Patterson's office was old-fashioned and dignified, full of leather-bound books and dark wood. The attorney himself was in his 70s, with kind eyes and a gentle manner. Simone, my dear. How are you holding up? He asked, gesturing for her to sit. I'm managing. The divorce is moving forward. I heard. I'm sorry you're going through this, though I can't say I'm surprised. Your father suspected there were problems. He knew everything, didn't he? Mr. Patterson smiled sadly. Robert was an excellent judge of character. He saw through people's pretenses to who they really were. That's what made him successful in business. And it's what made him such a good father. I miss him so much. I know. He missed you too at the end. He talked about you constantly, how proud he was, how strong you'd become, how much he wished he'd had more time. Mr. Patterson pulled out a file. Which brings us to the practical matters. The house. I need to decide whether to buy it or let it go to charity. Yes. The fair market value is $4.2 million. If you choose to purchase it, you can use funds from your trust. But I want you to consider whether that's really what you want. Simone looked at him in surprise. What do you mean? That house holds a lot of memories. Some good, but recently many painful. Your father's illness, your stepmother's presence, the confrontation you overheard. Sometimes a fresh start means leaving physical spaces behind too. But it was Dad's house. It feels wrong to let it go. Your father's love isn't contained in walls and rooms. It's in you, in the values he taught you, in the strength he gave you. The house is just a building. What matters is what you carry forward. Simone hadn't thought about it that way. She'd been so focused on holding on to everything of her father's that she hadn't considered whether keeping the house was actually good for her. I don't have to decide today, right? You have 6 months from Robert's death. That gives you 3 more months to think about it. In the meantime, you can live there if you want, or rent it out, or leave it empty. The estate will cover all expenses until the deadline. I think I need some time to figure out what I really want. That's wise. Now let's discuss the trust itself. 25 million is a significant sum. Your father set it up with various investment options, but you have complete control over how it's managed. They spent the next hour reviewing financial statements, investment strategies, and long-term planning. Simone had never thought much about money. She'd always lived simply, earned her own way through freelance work, been content with modest means. Now she had wealth beyond anything she'd imagined. "What did Dad want me to do with this money?" she asked. Mr. Patterson pulled out a letter, another one from Robert, this one labeled Financial Guidance. "He wanted you to read this after the divorce was final," Mr. Patterson said. "But given the circumstances, I think now is appropriate." Simone opened the letter with trembling hands. "My dearest Simone," it began. "If you're reading this, you've survived the storm. You've discovered the truth about Julian and Beverly. You've protected yourself. And now you're wondering what to do with the resources I've left you. First, take care of yourself. Pay off any debts. Buy a home that feels safe and comfortable. Travel if you want to. Take time to heal. Don't rush into anything. Second, consider what matters to you. I made my money in business, but what gave me joy was using it to help others. I think you have that same generous spirit. Maybe you'll want to start a foundation or support causes you believe in, or help friends and family who've been there for you. Whatever you choose, make sure it brings you happiness. Third, don't let the money change who you are. You're kind, creative, hardworking, and strong. You've always been that way, even when you were struggling to make ends meet. Money is a tool, not an identity. Use it wisely, but don't let it define you. Finally, remember that you deserve this. You deserve security, comfort, and the freedom to build the life you want. Don't feel guilty about having resources. Don't let anyone make you feel like you have to justify your inheritance. I worked hard for this money, and I chose to give it to you because you're my daughter and I love you. Be happy, Simone. That's all I ever wanted for you." Simone wiped tears from her cheeks. Even now, her father was taking care of her, guiding her, giving her permission to move forward. "He was a remarkable man," Mr. Patterson said gently. "He really was." Simone folded the letter carefully. "I want to do something that would make him proud. I'm just not sure what yet. You have time to figure it out. For now, focus on completing the divorce and healing. The rest will come." Simone left Mr. Patterson's office feeling lighter than she had in weeks. She had a plan, resources, and her father's blessing to start over. Whatever came next, she was ready for it. Her phone buzzed with a text from Jackson Moore. "Important update. Can we meet?" They arranged to meet at a cafe near Simone's hotel. Jackson arrived with his laptop and a serious expression. "Julian's in trouble," he said without preamble. "His company completed their investigation. He's been fired for embezzlement and fraud. They're considering pressing criminal charges." "How did they find out?" "I may have sent an anonymous tip to their fraud hotline, with just enough information to point them in the right direction." Simone raised her eyebrows. "Is that legal?" "The information I provided was all factual and documented. I simply brought it to their attention. What they chose to do with it was their decision. Will this affect my divorce? Possibly if he goes to jail. But more likely he'll accept a plea deal, return the money he stole, resign quietly, avoid prosecution. His career is over either way." "And Amber?" Jackson smiled grimly. "She's already moved on. I have surveillance of her with a new target, another married executive, this time at a different company. She works fast. Should we warn him? Not our problem. We're focused on your case, not saving every fool from their own bad choices." "Fair point." Simone sipped her coffee. "What about Beverly?" "She's run out of legal options. No lawyer will help her contest the will. It's too clearly a prenup violation with no grounds for appeal. She's essentially broke. The money Robert gave her is almost gone and she has no income. I heard she's moving out of the condo next month to somewhere more affordable. I almost feel bad for her." "Don't. She made calculated choices based on greed. Now she's facing the natural consequences. Simone nodded. It was hard not to feel a little sympathy, but Jackson was right. Beverly had targeted Robert deliberately, married him under false pretenses, and tried to steal from his estate. The fact that her plan failed didn't make her a victim. "How's your security?" Jackson asked. "Any signs of Julian trying to reach you?" "He stopped calling. I think he's realized I'm not going to respond. His lawyer communicates through Diane now." "Good. Keep it that way. Desperate men do unpredictable things, and Julian's world is falling apart. Stay vigilant." "I will." Over the next few weeks, Simone settled into a new normal. She worked on her graphic design projects, finding that creativity helped her process emotions. She met with Diane regularly to prepare for the divorce hearing. She spent time with her real friends, people who'd been there through her grief, who supported her decisions, who loved her without agenda. She also started volunteering at a women's shelter, teaching basic computer skills to women rebuilding their lives after leaving abusive relationships. Something about helping others gave her a sense of purpose beyond her own pain. The divorce hearing date approached. Simone felt ready. She'd faced the truth, gathered the evidence, and prepared herself mentally for the final confrontation. Whatever happened in that courtroom, she knew she'd done everything right. The night before the hearing, Simone returned to her father's house one last time. She walked through each room, remembering the good times, childhood birthdays, holiday celebrations, the safety she'd always felt within these walls. But she also acknowledged the painful memories: her father's decline, Beverly's presence, Julian's betrayal. Mr. Patterson had been right. This was just a house. Her father's love wasn't trapped here. It was inside her, portable, permanent. She made her decision. She would sell the house and donate the proceeds to charity, just like her father would have wanted. She'd use her trust fund to buy something new, something that was entirely hers, with no ghosts or painful associations. It was time to let go of the past and build a future. The morning of the divorce hearing dawned bright and clear. Simone dressed carefully in a navy suit that was professional but not flashy. She wanted to project confidence and dignity, not anger or vindictiveness. Diane met her outside the courthouse. "Ready?" "As ready as I'll ever be." They walked inside together. The family court waiting area was full of people in various stages of legal dissolution. Some angry, some sad, some just tired. Simone spotted Julian sitting with his lawyer, looking pale and thin. He'd lost weight and there were dark circles under his eyes. When he saw her, he started to stand, but his lawyer put a hand on his arm, holding him back. "Good." Simone didn't want to talk to him. There was nothing left to say. The bailiff called their case. Harrison versus Bennett. Courtroom 3. They filed into the courtroom. Judge Margaret Chin presided, a woman in her 60s with a no-nonsense expression. She reviewed the files in front of her while everyone settled into their seats. "This is a petition for divorce filed by Mrs. Simone Harrison Bennett," Judge Chin began. "The grounds listed are adultery, financial fraud, and irreconcilable differences. Mr. Bennett, do you contest any of these claims?" Julian's lawyer, Mr. Stevens, stood. "Your Honor, my client acknowledges that the marriage has broken down. However, he contests the characterization of his actions as fraud and disputes some of the financial claims." Mrs. Bennett's attorney, "You may present your evidence." Diane stood confidently. "Your Honor, we have extensive documentation of Mr. Bennett's 8-month affair with Ms. Amber Peterson, including photographs, hotel receipts, text messages, and witness testimony. We also have evidence of financial misconduct, including the misuse of marital funds to support this affair and embezzlement from his employer." She laid out the evidence methodically. The photographs of Julian and Amber at restaurants, hotels, entering apartments together. The credit card statements showing thousands of dollars spent on gifts and trips. The text messages from Julian's burner phone where he discussed his plans to manipulate Simone's supposed inheritance. Julian sank lower in his chair with each revelation. His lawyer tried to object on procedural grounds, but the evidence was too solid. "Your Honor," Diane continued, "Mr. Bennett also conspired with Mrs. Bennett's stepmother to manipulate her into contesting her late father's will. We have recordings of these conversations and testimony from a private investigator who witnessed their meetings." Judge Chin reviewed the documents with a frown. "Mr. Stevens, does your client have any response to these allegations?" Mr. Stevens stood reluctantly. "Your Honor, my client admits to having an affair. He deeply regrets his actions and takes full responsibility for the breakdown of the marriage. However, he maintains that the financial allegations are overblown and—" "I've seen the bank statements, Mr. Stevens. $32,000 spent on an extramarital affair is hardly overblown," What about the embezzlement charges? Those are being handled separately by his employer. They're not relevant to this divorce proceeding. They're relevant to his character and his financial situation. Mrs. Bennett's attorney, what are you seeking in this divorce? Diane stood again. A simple dissolution of marriage, Your Honor. Mrs. Bennett is not seeking alimony or any division of property, as all assets are held separately. She simply wishes to be freed from this marriage and have the record reflect the true reasons for its failure. Mr. Stevens, is your client seeking anything? No, Your Honor. Just a quick resolution. Judge Chen looked between them. This seems straightforward enough. However, I want to hear from the parties themselves. Mrs. Bennett, would you like to say anything? Simone stood, her heart pounding. She'd prepared for this moment, but now that it was here, the words felt heavy. Your Honor, I trusted my husband completely. I believed in our marriage and our future together. I had no idea he was living a double life, planning to use me for money, betraying me in every way possible. When I discovered the truth, it broke my heart. But it also opened my eyes. I don't want revenge. I don't want to punish him. I just want the truth to be known. I want the record to show that this divorce isn't because we grew apart or had different goals. It's because he chose to betray me systematically and intentionally. I deserve better than that. Every person deserves better than that. I'm asking for this divorce so I can move forward with my life. I've already grieved the loss of my father. Now I need to grieve the loss of my marriage and start rebuilding. I can't do that while legally tied to someone who never valued me. There was silence in the courtroom. Even Julian's lawyer looked uncomfortable. Mr. Bennett, do you have anything to say? Judge Chen asked. Julian stood slowly. His voice was hoarse. I made terrible mistakes. I hurt Simone in ways I can't repair. I let my problems, my gambling, my debts, my selfishness, destroy something good. She's right that she deserves better. I don't have any excuse or explanation that makes what I did okay. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm just asking for the divorce to be granted so she can move on. That's the only decent thing I can do at this point. Judge Chen nodded. At least you're being honest now, Mr. Bennett, even if it's too late. Based on the evidence presented and the testimonies I've heard, I'm granting the divorce. Mrs. Bennett will return to her maiden name, Harrison, if she wishes. All separate property remains separate. No alimony, no division of assets. The marriage is dissolved effective immediately. She brought down her gavel. Just like that, it was over. Simone felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She was free. Legally, officially, completely free. Outside the courtroom, Diane gave her a quick hug. Congratulations. You handled that beautifully. Thank you. For everything. My pleasure. Now go live your life. Simone walked out of the courthouse into the sunshine. Her phone buzzed with messages from friends who'd been waiting for news. She'd tell them later. Right now, she just wanted to breathe and feel the lightness of being herself again. Julian caught up to her in the parking lot. Simone, wait. She turned. What do you want, Julian? I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Really, truly sorry. I know it doesn't change anything, but I need you to know. You're right. It doesn't change anything. Simone looked at him, this man she'd loved who turned out to be a stranger. I hope you figure out your life. I hope you get help for your gambling problem and stop hurting people. But that's not my concern anymore. I know. I wish I'd been better. I wish I'd appreciated what I had. Me too. But wishes don't rewrite history. Goodbye, Julian. She got in her car and drove away without looking back. In her rearview mirror, she saw him standing alone in the parking lot, diminished and defeated. She felt nothing, no anger, no satisfaction, no sadness. Just emptiness where he used to be. Over the next few days, word of the divorce spread through their social circle. Some people reached out with sympathy. Others asked invasive questions. A few took Julian's side, claiming Simone must have driven him to cheat somehow. Simone blocked those people without hesitation. She didn't need anyone in her life who couldn't see the obvious truth. Meanwhile, the fallout continued. Julian's former employer had indeed pressed charges for embezzlement. He'd taken a plea deal, returned the money, accept a felony conviction with probation, never work in finance again. His career was destroyed. Amber had moved on to her next target without a backward glance. Jackson sent Simone a photo of Amber with yet another married man, this time at an expensive resort. Some people never learned. Beverly had moved out of her condo into a small apartment across town. She'd stopped trying to contact Simone entirely. According to Jackson's final report, she was working as a receptionist at a medical office, living paycheck to paycheck. The luxurious lifestyle she tried to secure through marriage was gone. Simone sold her father's house to a lovely family with young children. They were thrilled to have the space, and Simone liked knowing the house would be full of laughter and life again. The $4.2 million from the sale went to Robert's favorite charities, organizations that supported cancer research, veteran services, and children's education. With money from her trust, Simone bought a smaller, modern townhouse in a different neighborhood. It was bright and open with large windows and a small garden. She decorated it carefully, choosing pieces that made her happy rather than trying to recreate the past. She also made a major career decision. Her freelance graphic design work had been satisfying, but she wanted something more. She enrolled in a graduate program for nonprofit management, with plans to eventually start a foundation in her father's name. The foundation would help women escape abusive or manipulative relationships, providing them with financial support, legal resources, and job training. It would be called the Robert Harrison Foundation for New Beginnings. Her father would have loved it. 6 months after the divorce, Simone sat in her new living room, working on the foundation's bylaws. Sunlight streamed through the windows and classical music played softly in the background. For the first time in over a year, she felt genuinely peaceful. Her phone rang. An unknown number. She almost didn't answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello? Miss Harrison? This is Detective Rodriguez with the Financial Crimes Unit. I'm calling about your ex-husband, Julian Bennett." Simone's stomach dropped. "Is he okay?" "He's fine physically. But he's been arrested for additional fraud charges. The investigation into his activities at his previous employer uncovered more extensive embezzlement than initially discovered. We're building a case for trial." "I see. Why are you calling me?" "We may need you to testify about his financial behavior during your marriage. The defense is claiming he had a gambling addiction that drove his actions, and we need to establish that he was in control of his faculties and making deliberate choices." "I'll cooperate however I can," Simone said. "Just let me know what you need." After hanging up, Simone sat quietly processing this information. Julian's world was continuing to fall apart and she felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sympathy, just a distant acknowledgement that consequences were real. She sent a quick text to Diane. "Police called about Julian's case. I'm willing to testify if needed." Diane responded immediately, "Good. Stay strong. This is the last tie, then you're truly free." The last tie. Simone liked the sound of that. Once she gave her testimony and Julian's legal troubles were resolved one way or another, there would be nothing left connecting them. No shared property, no legal obligations, no unfinished business. Just the memory of who she'd once been and the reality of who she'd become. The trial was set for 3 months later. In the meantime, Simone focused on building her new life. She threw herself into her graduate studies, volunteered at the women's shelter, and slowly reconnected with parts of herself that had been dormant during her marriage. She started painting again, something she'd loved in college but had abandoned when Julian had called it impractical. She took a pottery class. She joined a book club. She went to therapy to process the betrayal and rebuilding her ability to trust. Her therapist, Dr. Angela Freeman, was a godsend. "You're not broken," Dr. Freeman told her during one session. "You were betrayed by people you trusted. That's different. Your instincts were working, you noticed the problems. You just gave people too much benefit of the doubt." "How do I avoid doing that again?" "You don't. Not entirely. Trust is necessary for relationships. But you can build in safeguards. Trust but verify. Listen to your gut. Set boundaries. And remember that how people behave consistently over time tells you who they are, not what they say when they're caught." Simone absorbed this wisdom gratefully. She'd spent so much time blaming herself for not seeing the signs, but Dr. Freeman helped her understand that skilled manipulators were good at hiding their true selves. It wasn't Simone's fault that Julian had lied and cheated. It was his fault for being a liar and a cheat. As the trial date approached, Simone received a call from the prosecutor, Assistant District Attorney Maria Santos. "Ms. Harrison, I wanted to brief you on what to expect when you testify. The defense is going to try to portray Julian as a victim of circumstance, a good man who made mistakes due to gambling addiction and mental health issues. Your testimony will help establish that he was fully aware of his actions and made calculated choices." "What will they ask me?" "They'll ask about his behavior during your marriage, his spending patterns, whether you notice signs of addiction. They may try to suggest you were controlling or that the marriage was troubled in other ways. Stay calm, stick to the facts, and don't let them provoke you." "I can do that." "I believe you can. You strike me as a very strong woman." The trial began on a Monday morning. The courthouse was more crowded this time, financial crimes drew media attention, and Julian's case had become something of a local scandal. Former finance executive faces years in prison for elaborate fraud scheme, read one headline. Simone arrived early and sat in the witness waiting room. Maria Santos came to check on her. Ready? As ready as I'll be. Remember, you're not on trial. Julian is. Just tell the truth. When they called her to the stand, Simone walked into the courtroom with her head high. Julian sat at the defense table, looking thinner and older than ever. He didn't meet her eyes. After she was sworn in, Maria Santos began her questioning. Ms. Harrison, you were married to the defendant for 5 years, correct? Yes. During that time, were you aware that he had a gambling problem? No, I wasn't. He hid it from me completely. I found out only after he was caught embezzling from his employer and the investigation revealed his debts. Did you notice any unusual financial behavior? In retrospect, yes. He became secretive about money. He opened credit cards and bank accounts I didn't know about. He claimed to be working late frequently, but our financial situation never improved the way it should have if he was putting in all those extra hours. Did he ever ask you for money? No, not directly. But he did approach my father asking for a large loan. My father refused because he suspected Julian wasn't being honest about why he needed it. How did the defendant react to that refusal? He was angry, but he tried to hide it. He told me my father was being unreasonable and old-fashioned about money. Maria Santos asked more questions, establishing Julian's pattern of deception. Then it was the defense attorney's turn. Mr. Chin, Julian's new lawyer, he'd had to hire someone else after losing his money, approached with a sympathetic expression. Ms. Harrison, I know this is difficult for you. Your marriage ended badly and I'm sorry for that. But I need to ask some hard questions. I understand. Isn't it true that your father didn't like Julian? My father had concerns about him, yes. Concerns that he expressed to you? Eventually, yes. So your father was actively trying to break up your marriage? No. My father was trying to warn me that Julian wasn't who I thought he was. He turned out to be right. But you didn't believe him at first, did you? I wanted to believe my husband. That's natural. Natural, yes. But perhaps your father's disapproval created tension in your marriage? Made Julian feel unwelcome or judged? Simone saw where this was going. My father's disapproval was based on facts. Julian was having an affair, gambling away money, embezzling from his employer, and planning to defraud me. Those aren't symptoms of a troubled marriage. Those are criminal behaviors. Your Honor, Mr. Chin objected. The witness is being argumentative. Ms. Harrison, please just answer the questions asked, Judge Brennan said. Simone nodded. Mr. Chin tried a different approach. You've testified that you weren't aware of Julian's gambling. But isn't it possible he was afraid to tell you because of how you might react? I suppose it's possible. But hiding an addiction doesn't justify committing fraud. Of course not. I'm just trying to establish that my client was dealing with serious mental health issues, addiction is a disease, and that he wasn't in full control of his actions. He was in control enough to plan and execute an 8-month affair. He was in control enough to conspire with my stepmother to manipulate me. He was in control enough to falsify expense reports and steal from his employer for over a year. Those aren't the actions of someone who's lost control. Those are the actions of someone who thinks he won't get caught. The judge leaned forward. Ms. Harrison has a point, Mr. Chin. Do you have any other questions? No, Your Honor. Simone was excused. As she left the stand, she finally looked at Julian. He was staring at the table, his face pale. For just a moment she felt a flicker of pity. Then she remembered everything he'd done, and the pity evaporated. The trial lasted 3 more days. Other witnesses testified, Julian's former co-workers, the forensic accountants who'd traced his embezzlement, even Amber, who claimed she'd had no idea Julian was married. A lie, but she stuck to it. Beverly was also called to testify about her conspiracy with Julian. She looked uncomfortable in her bargain store suit, her former glamour completely gone. She admitted to working with Julian but claimed she'd been manipulated too. He told me Simone had millions coming, Beverly said on the stand. He said if we worked together we could all be taken care of. I was vulnerable and stupid and I fell for it. The prosecutor didn't buy it and neither did the jury. Beverly was facing her own charges for attempted fraud and conspiracy. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict. Simone returned to the courtroom to hear it. We, the jury, find the defendant, Julian Bennett, guilty on all counts of embezzlement, fraud, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Julian's shoulders slumped. His lawyer patted his back, but there was no comfort there. He was facing 5 to 7 years in prison. Sentencing was set for 2 weeks later. Simone didn't attend. She'd said everything she needed to say, and watching Julian go to prison wouldn't bring her any peace. Instead, she spent that day at the beach, walking along the shore and thinking about everything that had happened. A year ago, she'd been a trusting wife, grieving her father, believing in her marriage. Now she was divorced, wealthy, and rebuilding her life from scratch. It had been the worst year of her life. It had also been transformative. Her phone buzzed with a text from Maria Santos. 7 years in prison plus restitution. Justice served. Simone typed back, "Thank you for everything." 7 years. Julian would be 42 when he got out. His finance career was over, his reputation destroyed, his freedom gone. He'd lost everything he'd been trying to gain. And Simone? She'd gained everything she hadn't known she needed. Freedom. Self-respect. The knowledge that she could survive anything. The resources to build the life she wanted instead of the life she'd settled for. Her phone rang. An unknown number again, but this time she recognized the area code. It was from the women's shelter where she volunteered. "Simone? It's Margaret. I'm so sorry to call you on your day off, but we have a situation. A woman just came in with 2 small children. She needs immediate help, and our funds are tapped out until next month. Is there any way?" "How much does she need?" Simone interrupted. "Maybe 5,000? For a security deposit on an apartment, some furniture, basics for the kids. I'll transfer 10,000 today. And Margaret? Don't wait until next month to ask for help. If someone needs assistance, call me." "Simone, that's incredibly generous, but my father taught me that money is a tool. I want to use it to help people who are where I was, trapped in situations they need to escape. This is exactly what the money is for." After hanging up, Simone made the transfer from her trust account. $10,000. A year ago, that would have been an impossible sum. Now it was just a tool to help someone else start over. The Robert Harrison Foundation was officially launching in 3 months. Simone had hired staff, secured office space, and developed programs for women leaving difficult relationships. They would provide financial assistance, legal support, job training, and counseling. It would be her father's legacy and her own fresh start, combined into something meaningful. That evening, Simone hosted a small dinner party at her townhouse. Her real friends, the ones who'd supported her through everything, gathered around her table. They laughed and told stories and made plans for the future. "To new beginnings," someone toasted. "To new beginnings," Simone echoed, raising her glass. She looked around the table at these people who'd stayed by her side. Who'd never betrayed her, never lied to her, never tried to use her. This was what family looked like, not blood or marriage but loyalty and love. Later, after everyone had gone home, Simone stood in her kitchen washing dishes and feeling genuinely happy. The happiness wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet and steady, the kind that comes from knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be. She thought about Julian in his prison cell, Beverly in her tiny apartment, Amber moving from target to target. They'd all made choices based on greed and selfishness. Now they were living with the consequences. Simone had made different choices. She'd chosen truth, justice, and building something good from the ashes of betrayal. She'd chosen to honor her father's memory by helping others. She'd chosen to become someone she could respect. The past year had taught her that not everyone deserves a place in your life. That trust should be earned, not freely given. That strength comes from surviving what you thought would break you. Most importantly, she'd learned that revenge wasn't about hurting people who hurt you. True revenge was living well, moving forward, and refusing to let betrayal define you. Justice had been served. Now it was time for happiness. 6 months after the trial, Simone stood in the bright, modern offices of the Robert Harrison Foundation for New Beginnings. The space was perfect, welcoming but professional, with comfortable seating areas and private consultation rooms. Photos of her father hung on the walls, his smile eternally warm and proud. "We're ready for the opening," her program director, Natasha Williams, said. "The mayor's office confirmed they'll be here. Local news is covering it. And we already have a waiting list of women who need our services." Simone felt a rush of pride and purpose. Then let's do this. The opening ceremony was everything she'd hoped for. Community leaders spoke about the need for programs like this. Women who'd already benefited from early pilot services shared their stories. The mayor cut the ribbon, cameras flashed, and Simone felt her father's presence so strongly it brought tears to her eyes. Robert would be so proud, Mr. Patterson said, appearing at her elbow. This is exactly the kind of legacy he would have wanted. I hope so. I'm trying to use what he taught me to help others. You're doing more than that. You're turning your pain into purpose. That's the highest form of healing. Over the following months, the foundation helped dozens of women. Single mothers escaping domestic violence. Wives discovering financial abuse. Young women trapped in manipulative relationships. Each one received financial support, legal counsel, job training, and emotional support. Simone threw herself into the work, finding it deeply satisfying. She'd taken her own experience with betrayal and used it to build something that helped others avoid similar fates. Her father's money Beverly and Julian had tried so hard to steal, was now changing lives. She also continued her graduate studies and maintained her therapy sessions. Dr. Freeman helped her work through lingering trust issues and taught her how to recognize healthy relationship patterns. You're ready to start dating again, Dr. Freeman said during one session. I'm not saying you have to, but you've done the work. You know who you are now. You won't settle for less than you deserve. I don't know if I'm ready, Simone admitted. What if I make the same mistakes? You won't. You're not the same person who married Julian. You're wiser, stronger, more aware. And you have tools now to recognize red flags early. Simone wasn't convinced, but she agreed to try. She went on a few dates, setups by friends, matches from dating apps. They were mostly pleasant but unmemorable. She didn't feel a spark with anyone, and that was okay. She wasn't in a rush. Then, 3 months later, everything changed. The foundation was hosting a charity gala to raise funds and awareness. Simone had planned every detail, wanting the evening to be perfect. The venue was decorated beautifully with elegant tables and mood lighting. Guests arrived in evening wear, ready to support a good cause. Simone wore a stunning emerald dress that made her feel confident and beautiful. She worked the room, thanking donors and sharing stories about the women they'd helped. She was introducing herself to a group of potential sponsors when someone tapped her shoulder. Excuse me, Miss Harrison? I'm Dr. Cameron Wright. I'm a psychologist who specializes in trauma recovery, and I'm incredibly impressed with what you're doing here. Simone turned and found herself looking at a handsome man with kind eyes and a genuine smile. He was tall, well-dressed, and something about his presence felt immediately safe. Thank you, Dr. Wright. That means a lot coming from someone in your field. Please call me Cameron. And I mean it, this foundation addresses a real need in our community. I work with many women who've been in similar situations, and having practical resources to complement therapy makes a huge difference. They talked for 20 minutes, discussing trauma recovery, support systems, and the intersection of mental health and financial stability. Cameron was intelligent, compassionate, and clearly passionate about his work. He didn't flirt or try to impress her, he just engaged genuinely in the conversation. I'd love to explore how we might collaborate, Cameron said as the evening wound down. Perhaps I could offer pro bono counseling services to your clients? We could meet to discuss it. That would be wonderful, Simone said. Let me give you my card. As she handed it to him, their fingers touched briefly, and Simone felt something she hadn't felt in a long time: interest. Real, genuine interest in getting to know someone better. They met for coffee the following week to discuss the partnership. Cameron brought detailed proposals for mental health programming that would integrate with the foundation's existing services. But they also talked about other things: books they'd read, places they'd traveled, their families and backgrounds. I have to be honest, Cameron said toward the end of their meeting. This started as a professional conversation, but I'm finding myself personally interested in getting to know you better. Would you be open to having dinner sometime? Not as colleagues, but as two people who might enjoy each other's company. Simone hesitated. The old fear rose up: what if he was like Julian? What if she was being naive again? But then she remembered Dr. Freeman's words. She wasn't the same person. She had tools now. And Cameron had been nothing but genuine and respectful. He'd approached her professionally, established a working relationship, and only then expressed personal interest. These were good signs. I'd like that, she said. Their first date was at a small Italian restaurant, not Marelli's, thankfully. Cameron was attentive but not overwhelming. He asked about her life, listened genuinely to her answers, and shared about himself in return. He was divorced, no children, dedicated to his work but trying to find better work-life balance. My marriage ended because we wanted different things, he explained. She wanted to move to New York for her career. I wanted to stay here where my practice and family are. No betrayal, no drama, just incompatibility. We're still friendly. Simone appreciated his honesty. My marriage ended very differently. Betrayal, fraud, the whole nightmare. I read about the trial, Cameron admitted. I hope that's not inappropriate to mention. No, it's public record. I have nothing to hide. Well, for what it's worth, you handled an impossible situation with incredible grace. Turning that pain into something that helps others? That takes real strength. They dated slowly and carefully. Cameron never pushed for more than Simone was ready to give. He met her friends and they liked him. He attended foundation events and genuinely supported her work. When Simone mentioned she was in therapy, he didn't see it as weakness but as strength. Everyone should have a therapist, he said. Especially people who've been through trauma. The fact that you're doing the work says everything about your character. 3 months into dating, Cameron met Simone at her townhouse for a quiet dinner she'd cooked. As they sat on her couch afterward, he took her hand. I need to tell you something. I'm falling in love with you, Simone. I know it might be too soon to say that, but I believe in honesty and that's the truth. You don't have to say anything back. I just wanted you to know. Simone's first instinct was panic. But then she looked at Cameron, really looked at him. He'd been nothing but honest, patient, kind, and supportive. He'd shown her through actions, not just words, that he was trustworthy. And she realized something important. She had feelings for him too. I'm falling for you too, she said softly. It scares me because of my history, but it also feels right. Different from before. Different how? With Julian, I was always trying to be enough. Trying to make him happy, trying to keep the peace, trying to ignore the things that didn't feel right. With you, I feel like I can be myself. You seem to actually like me, not some version of me I'm pretending to be. I like you exactly as you are, Cameron said. Your strength, your kindness, your determination to help others. The way you honor your father's memory. Even your caution and fear, they're understandable and justified. I don't need you to be anything other than yourself. They took their relationship to the next level slowly, building trust with every shared experience. Cameron met Mr. Patterson and got his approval. He volunteered at the foundation, teaching stress management techniques to clients. He celebrated when Simone's graduate program accepted her thesis proposal. A year after Julian's trial, Simone received a letter forwarded by her lawyer. It was from Julian, written from prison. Dear Simone, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, and I understand that. I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness or to make excuses. I'm writing because my therapist here says I need to take accountability. I destroyed our marriage. I destroyed my career. I destroyed my life. All because I was selfish, arrogant, and thought I was smarter than everyone else. I gambled because I liked the thrill. I cheated because I wanted the excitement. I stole because I felt entitled to more than I had. And I planned to use you because I saw you as a resource rather than a person. None of that was your fault. You were a good wife. You were loyal and kind, and you deserved so much better than what I gave you. I'm sorry for every lie, every betrayal, every moment I made you doubt yourself. I'm glad you moved on. I'm glad the foundation is doing well. I'm glad you found happiness. You deserve all of it. I'll be in here for 6 more years. When I get out, I'll be starting over with nothing. That's appropriate. I threw away everything valuable in my life, and now I'm paying the price. I hope you're well. I hope you never think of me. I hope your life is everything you want it to be. Julian. Simone read the letter twice, feeling nothing but a distant sort of closure. Julian sounded genuinely remorseful, but it didn't matter. He'd made his choices and she'd made hers. His redemption or lack thereof wasn't her concern anymore. She filed the letter away and never responded. Some chapters needed to close completely. Beverly, meanwhile, had left the state. Word through the social grapevine was that she'd moved to Florida, where she was working as a home health aide for elderly patients. Simone hoped she'd learned something but doubted it. People like Beverly rarely changed. The foundation continued to grow. By its 2nd anniversary, they'd helped over 200 women. Success stories came back regularly, women who'd left abusive situations and were now thriving, women who'd learned job skills and found good careers, women who'd rebuilt their lives with dignity and purpose. Simone's graduate thesis on nonprofit management and trauma recovery was accepted with honors. She now had the credentials and experience to run the foundation at the highest level. And Cameron remained a constant presence in her life. Patient, supportive, genuinely in love with her. They talked about moving in together, about the future, about building something lasting. I'm not in a rush, Cameron assured her. We move at whatever pace feels right to you. On the 3rd anniversary of her father's death, Simone visited his grave. She brought flowers and sat on the grass beside his headstone, talking to him like she used to when he was alive. I did it, Dad. I survived everything you warned me about. I used the resources you left me to help other people. I turned the worst experience of my life into something meaningful. And I met someone good. Someone who reminds me of you in the best ways, honest, kind, supportive. I miss you every day. But I'm not just surviving anymore. I'm actually happy. I think you'd be proud of me. A warm breeze rustled the leaves overhead, and Simone smiled through her tears. Her father was gone, but his love remained. His lessons remained. His legacy remained. She'd taken the worst betrayals and the deepest pain and transformed them into purpose, justice, and eventually genuine happiness. She'd honored her father's memory not by dwelling on the past, but by building a better future. 6 months later, Cameron proposed on a quiet evening at home. No grand gestures or public displays, just the two of them, comfortable and happy together. I love you exactly as you are, he said, kneeling in her living room. I want to build a life with you, support your dreams, and be your partner in everything. Will you marry me? Simone looked at this good man, this genuinely kind person who'd proven himself through actions over time. She thought about how far she'd come from a naive wife who'd been betrayed, to a strong woman who demanded justice, to someone capable of trusting again. Yes, she said. Yes, I'll marry you. They married a year later in a small, beautiful ceremony. Mr. Patterson walked her down the aisle. Her real friends filled the seats. The foundation staff attended, celebrating their leader's happiness. There was no anxiety, no doubt, no fear. Just joy and the solid knowledge that she was making the right choice with the right person. At the reception, Natasha gave a toast. To Simone, who showed us all that betrayal doesn't have to break you. That justice is real. That helping others heals yourself. And that happy endings aren't found, they're built through courage, honesty, and refusing to let the past define you. Everyone raised their glasses. Simone looked around the room at her chosen family, at her husband, at the life she'd built from the ashes of devastation. She'd wanted revenge and she'd gotten it, not through cruelty but through living well. Julian was in prison, Beverly was struggling, and Simone was thriving. The Robert Harrison Foundation was changing lives. She had love, purpose, and peace. This was what victory looked like. Not destruction of enemies, but construction of something beautiful and meaningful. Not dwelling on betrayal, but moving forward into genuine happiness. Her father had told her she'd know what to do when the time came. He'd been right. She'd known to demand justice. She'd known to protect herself. She'd known to transform pain into purpose. She'd known to remain open to real love when it appeared. As she danced with Cameron at their wedding, Simone felt completely, genuinely happy. The past was behind her. The future was bright. And she was exactly where she was meant to be. This was her happy ending. The one she'd built herself, with strength, wisdom, and the unshakable knowledge that she deserved better, and had the power to create it.
You know, before I end this video, I want to talk to you for a moment. Not as a narrator, not as someone telling a story, but just as someone sitting across from you, reflecting on what we just experienced together. Because stories like this, they don't just come and go, they stay. They linger in your mind, in your chest, in that quiet space where you start asking yourself questions you didn't expect. I remember the first time I came across a story like this. It wasn't dramatic in the way movies are. There were no grand speeches, no perfect endings, just the woman facing things that felt impossibly heavy, and yet somehow she kept going. Not because she had all the answers, not because she wasn't afraid, but because something inside her refused to give up. And I think that's what makes stories like the one you just watched so powerful. It's not about perfection. It's not about always winning. It's about endurance. It's about what happens when the world tries to define you, limit you, silence you, and you still choose to stand. Even if your voice shakes, even if your steps are slow. The women in these stories, they're not just characters. They represent something real, something that has existed for generations, strength that has been passed down, even though pain, courage that shows off, even when it feels like there's nothing left. And if you really think about it, how many times has that kind of strength gone unnoticed? How many stories were never told? How many voices were just told but felt? Where every moment of struggle matters, where every act of courage, no matter how small, is seen, and where rising again and again becomes something worth honoring. Maybe there was a moment in this story that hit you a little differently. Maybe it reminded you of someone you know. Maybe it reminded you of yourself. And if it did, I hope you hold on to that. Because strength doesn't always look like what we expect. Sometimes it looks like surviving one more day. Sometimes it looks like walking away. Sometimes it looks like starting over when everything in you is tired. But it's still strength and it still matters. So as you leave this video, don't just move on to the next thing right away. Sit with this for a second. Think about the journeys you just witnessed. Think about what it represents. And most importantly, remember that every story like this is the reminder of something powerful. That no matter how many times someone is pushed down, no matter how many systems try to break them, there is always the possibility of rising again. If this story meant something to you, I'd love for you to stay with us on this journey, because there are so many more stories waiting. Stories that will challenge you, move you, and maybe even change the way you see the world just a little bit. Thank you for being here with me, truly. And until the next story, take care of yourself, keep your heart open, and never forget how powerful it is to rise, even when it